Hello, welcome to today's video, and today we're going to be looking at what I feel is actually a rather interesting deck. Now this is a Thorn 8940 with the front cover that seems to self-detach if you hit it a little bit. We'll sort that out in a minute. But anyway, back to the deck itself. It's, as I say, it's a Thorn 8940 and it is basically a JVC HR7350. Now the Ferguson badged version of this is a Ferguson 3V30, and the main difference between this and the 3V30 is the fact that this has linear stereo sound, and this one is actually a rental. So you can see at the front here that the badge has long since gone, but around the back there is a sticker which says that this was supplied by Radio Rentals of Swindon. So this would have been a deck that would have been available through your Radio Rentals rental retailer. Now these were typically paired with the super sound sets that you could also get from Radio Rentals. In fact, if I can find it quickly without taking too long, is this it? No, that's my JVC. I'll have to dig it out. But in another video I do actually cover the Radio Rentals rental models that you could get. This is one of them, and this would have been offered as an option to go with your super sound set. And the other options that you would have had would have been the Thorn 8941, which is the Ferguson 3V31 or JVC 7650, or the Thorn 8942, which would be the Ferguson 3V32, or the JVC HR7655. This is basically a rental special. The Ferguson badged version of this was not available on the consumer market. There we go, that's corrected that little problem. You can actually see here that a lot of these tabs have broken off at some point in the past, which isn't the end of the world. Just something to watch out for. As I was saying earlier, no, I can't see it. I think it's actually on the lower part of the machine. Inside there isn't really much that's unusual. This has done what they all do, which is basically there is an air brake facility, and what it should do is when you press eject it should come up nice and slowly like that. What they can do is they either go like that when they brake, or they do what this is doing. So we're going to take a look at that and see if we can do something with it. We do actually need to get this out of the way because we're going to be also doing a full clean up of the tape path and also a full belt renewal and replacement. Something else which is unusual, which also shows that this machine has been serviced at some point in the past, apart from all of these broken tabs, is the presence of this. Now, normally on these decks you would have a little bulb, but here they've actually got this modification board in place, which plugs in exactly to the same location. In fact, you can see here that somebody has actually just soldered it directly onto that little connector, which is a bit budget, but it works. And that is literally all they have done to get this machine to work with this modification. Normally what you would do is you would take the original blue wired incandescent bulb arrangement, you would chop the wires, you would splice in, then you would use the existing connector to plug into the little sort of 2-pin connector there. It's not actually too much hassle to find a spare board and unsolder that and actually do it properly. That might be something that I'll consider doing at some point, because it looks a bit cack, to be honest with you. Looks a little bit scrappy. So this is the air brake mechanism, and you can see it's just not particularly happy because there is a little rubber idler on there, and it's bunched up over the years. And there's the little air brake fan there. You can see that that would spin round and obviously sort of dampen the motion of that. So we'll actually have a look in a minute and see if I've got in my collection of idlers, if I do have something that will sort them out. So we'll put that to one side. Now, actually looks pretty clean in here. There's nothing too drastic to write home about. The video head tips are still present, which is good. There is, just trying to see if I can see a date mark on this head at all. Can't see any date marks on the head, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's new, old, or whatever. Everything looks okay here. This idler I'm going to replace as part of the course. I do have another one of these which I'll replace. I'll probably have to potentially move this out of the way to do so, but it's held in exactly the same way as a normal bulb based one. This belt is probably okay. Don't think I need to do anything with that. That belt is fine. That's just the counter. But what we will do is we'll take a look underneath. So before we do that, I'm going to see if I can just gently pop this off. If I remember rightly, you can't actually pop off, you can't pop off that cover until this is removed. There's also a lot of rattling around inside of here, so I'm hoping it's nothing that is essential for the actual running of this machine. And I'm hoping it is just case parts rather than anything really essential. This has been at some point security marked, so there is actually an address written down on here. There is a postcode, PO9, so this did live in Portsmouth at some point. So that would make sense. It hasn't actually sort of come too far afield. I don't know if you can see that there, but that is the Baird sticker. So I think Radio Rental's probably covered down to the south as well, so that would make sense. Everything else looks fairly clean. It doesn't look like that the machine has been stored in a swamp, which is always good. That's one of the things that can kill these, is when they've been stored in really very poor conditions. It can sort of really affect the entire machine. Sometimes you get lucky and other times you don't. So I'll just take these off. Always remember these having about 500 different screws for something that you could just get away with 4 screws to hold in. However, I'm not complaining. Better over-engineered than under. Anyway, that should do that, like so. There we go. Then you've got the main board underneath. Looks very similar to the 3V29 I've also serviced in the past. Very similar arrangement there. There's something that was rattling around, which is part of the case by the looks of it. Yep, it's come from there. So that is actually part of the front panel, so that's good. That is just... That actually was it, actually. That was the only thing that was rattling around back there. One thing I will do is take this off, gently remove, and we will have a look at this. So you can see there, this is one thing that always happens on these particular decks. So there is an 8930 version, which is basically the the Ferguson 3V30, and it's always these that tend to give up the ghost. So they just sort of start to tend to do that. then eventually the whole button strip just falls into the machine, and then you're left poking into it like that. So to stop that becoming an issue, we will get some glue, blob a little bit of glue onto there and sort that out. I've actually got some very strong super glue which will do that job absolutely perfectly. Also got in here some date markings so we can actually date the machine. This was built in 1983 in month 5. So this was built in month 5 on the 20th day. So this was built on the 20th of May 1983. Well, certainly this front panel was. Whether the whole machine was or not, I'm not sure, but certainly this machine was built around May 83, which makes it, I wouldn't say fairly late, but sort of in the middle of the run for this particular model, I would say, as I think you could also get them in 1984 as well. So nothing too much to write home about in this section, just your usual collection of dust that you tend to get over the years. This is the mains transformer, and if we carefully come round, you can see that we've got the main power distribution board on the back here. That's your, I believe, yeah, that is your AC to DC rectifier. And then you've got some power output transistors attached to this heatsink. Not a switch mode power supply, but a fairly uncomplex power supply. There isn't really very much on there that can go wrong. Anyway, let's flip this. Sorry, I need to go around in this direction because what I need to do is get this lined up like so. Actually, I'm going to go and get a towel so I can protect it. Bear with me a second. There we go. T-shirt should do the job nicely. Now, if we take out this blue screw, followed by, it's actually shorter than the other ones, this blue screw. What should happen is I should be able to, take those two out as well, don't forget those. So this is audio video PWB. This section is something. There's tracking on there, that might be Syscon. And I think the rest of that is audio and video, which would make sense. And obviously there are a selection of switches on the front here. There's something else that goes wrong with these, which is the switch, the channel, audio channel. That tends to stop working, so I'm going to be dosing these switches with some contact cleaner. So if you see, this will lift up like so, and does actually expose the deck itself. These belts are in pretty desperate need of replacement, especially this flat belt idler. You can see that is actually quite dirty on there, so we're going to be replacing that. This little loading belt looks like it's in good shape as well, so I don't think we need to do anything with that. The loading belt arrangement itself is pretty much identical to the 3V23. So they didn't really sort of change this deck a huge amount. There are some detail changes, small detail changes, but the main bulk of the deck is very similar to the earlier 3V23. So, I'm trying to remember how I used to hold these up, or held these up in the past. So what we need to do is, if you see, that comes out like that. So you can actually remove this whole board by popping that out there, and then pulling that across like that. However, we don't need to go that far. So what I'm hoping I should be able to do is just prop it up And also just note which wires are getting strained, and if you need to, just undo those wires. So I think the first thing is that flat belt, because that is really manky in there. There's a lot of, believe it or not, mould of all things. So there's quite a bit of mould on that, so we need to sort that out. Also got this little drive belt here, which isn't too bad, but we will replace it anyway. The loading belt, I'll be honest with you, for the amount of effort it takes to get that motor out, I will probably replace that as well. So let's see what we can do about all of these wires. See if there's a way we can make this a bit easier for lifting. So if we just unclip this little loom conduit. And we will try. That's actually got enough give on it, I believe. So yeah, there we go. So that should open that up like so. So that releases the tension there a bit. So that will come up easily enough. It's this one here that's the big problem. So if you unhook this, so just push it in and then just push it back like so. And then that unhooks that, and that should give you just that little bit more space, which it does actually. But there is, looking at it, yeah, there's this big ground cable that's connected to it, and there doesn't really seem to be much in the way of any kind of leeway for that. I've actually just noticed possibly why. So there we go. If you tease it out, there's a little cable tie there. If you tease that, all of this is now available. Just gets it nicely out of the way. So we need to find a way to prop this up. Now, I can never do this right. Always get this wrong with propping up. Let's go. That should do it. There we go. So the first thing we're going to do is, let's find my box of many belts. So we've got the box of many belts. We do have a lot of belts in here for varying different things. Whether or not I have any specifically for this particular deck, I do not know. I do have a load of these though, the original video lamps. I also have, if I can find it, I certainly had it the other day, I've got a pinch roller, so we may as well replace the pinch roller. There's also an idler in there for something. And I also have this, which is the complete idler arm assembly. I've got a number of flat belts, a number of square belts. I've got a whole load of square belts down here. A whole load of square belts here. They're destined for Sony equipment, but to be honest, the sizes are universal, so they shouldn't be too much of an issue. I've got another pinch roller here for a JVC, which should fit as well. So I think certainly between my sort of collection of belts, I should have something which will, which will do the job. But first things first, let's get the capstan belt sorted out. So let's put that down. So very much like the 3V31s and the other decks I've worked on previously, we've got the two screws there holding this in. Actually, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this screw instead. That means I can use that then. That's perfect. There we go. That's actually quite stiff. I'm not sure if that's ever been touched, you know. There we go. So that will release this. You'll notice here that there are some cables which are tied into it. So what I need to do is just move this out of the way slightly. Take this off, like so. And then you've got the big flat belt here, which we also need to remove. Check the motor. The motor spins freely. There is quite a bit of dirt on there, so we will be giving that clean shortly. And this belt, what I will do in a bit is actually measure this belt, but I will do it off camera. Because what I want to do is measure the width and measure the approximate length. And by doing that, you should actually get the actual size of the belt that you would need for a replacement. However, I should have, just trying to find something I can tear up for rag purposes. Yeah, this is significantly ruined. Yeah, this shirt has seen better days, so we'll use this. So what I want to do is get a bit of video head cleaner onto the onto a bit of cloth and just clean that spindle. Let me know. It's tearing up a lot. Taking a lot longer than I thought it would. There we go. That's part of it. And hopefully that should do the trick. So what I'll do is go into here like so. There we go. Keep this prop open. There we go. And a bit of a spray on there. Bit of a spray onto that. I'll just go into there and just work the motor around by hand. Make sure that you've got this into there as well. There you go. Let's just spin it round and get as much of the rubber off of there as possible. You can actually see this whole flywheel assembly has also got a load of rubber that seems to have attached itself onto there. So I'm actually going to see if I can clean this off as well, because that's weird. That is really rough. That's super weird. Well, not really. It's just the way the rubber degrades. But that is proving trickier than I would have thought. I think I need to go with something ever so slightly more abrasive. So let's have a look in my other box background here. Yeah, that should do the job. Actually, I've got more space if I do it there. Use this piece of sanding block to do this. Yeah, that's certainly doing the job. You can also see on there that quite a bit of it's coming off onto there as well. Do it in both directions. And I'm hoping, yeah, that is better. You can still see the points where the belt has actually sort of worn onto there and stuck in the past. So what's probably happened is the belt has started to erode, as they tend to do, but probably through me waking the machine up by trying to use it, mainly to see what I had to do with it. I wanted to see if it was viable. So by that simple action of trying to use the machine has caused the belt to unstick, but it has left behind quite a bit of belty residue. There we go. So we'll give this another spray. We will just mop up the general area just to clean it out. And then we will spin this around just to polish it off effectively. I'll be honest with you, I think we still need to give that another little sand down, because that really is quite grotty. What I might try actually is a flat blade screwdriver with a suitably wide head, like so. Get it on as flat as possible. And use it to almost scrape, like so. Let's use a small one. There we go. Just do this to attack it at some of the particular trouble spots. You can sort of tell where they are because they make more noise when they're going past the sandpaper than the spots that don't have so much of the belt build-up. I wonder if I've actually got enough clearance to do that, you know, so probably not, unfortunately, have I? No. Annoyingly I don't, but I think just mop up the general area and give this a quick go. feels a lot smoother. Yeah, that's certainly a lot smoother. Yeah, you can see it's actually bringing off quite a bit of that as well. So this is what can happen to machines that have the belts left on them for quite a long period of time. They really can gum up the whole setup, to be honest with you. Mainly on spots where the belts are going to be idle for some sort of fairly long period of time, such as these idlers. Sorry, these flywheels for the capstan. There we go. Right, my next challenge is this head. This spindle here, because that has some sort of real ingrained stuff on it. And I think just working it with a screwdriver might be enough. I don't want to flat spot it at all, because that would cause more trouble than good. What I will do is see if I can get this in there. So what I'm going to try is by just chopping a bit of this off, actually. There we go. Normally I would use emery paper or wet and dry for this, but I don't have any of that sat with me right at this moment, so instead of just going to go and get some, I'm being lazy and doing it with the sanding block that I have to hand. And it will be interesting to see if that actually has resolved the issue in a moment. Yeah, it's made a dent, definitely. Something else I'm going to do whilst I'm in here is I have some switch and contact cleaner. And for the sake of just doing it, I'm going to put some into these switches, and then just work them. Like so. There we go. So that is dripping a little bit. So do that. Mop up the areas that it's dripping onto, which happen to be a couple of reed switches, so that's no problem because it's actually going to be doing two jobs. And let's give this a bit of a clean. There we go. That's the head amp circuit under there. Right. Sort out this capstan drive belt. Okay, let's see what we have belt wise. I've got a selection of belts which are flat and of differing lengths, but might not be thick enough or wide enough. You can certainly see what we're working with. So let's have a look at the length of this one. That's too big. That's too long. Yeah, that should do it. So let's go in to there. Let's go in and round like so. Oh, it's done that really annoying thing where it flips itself around. So I need to take that off there, flip that back around, and hook it back around again. These always are quite tricky, these flat belts, because of the way that they are. They're always a bit finicky to get on. There we go, that should do it. That's actually running smoothly as well. No problems with that. Right, we now need a little belt to replace the one that was on there. So I'm sure I've got plenty of those. Here's one. So we'll pop that little square belt around this little pulley and this little pulley, and realise that's done exactly the same thing that the flat belt did before correcting the issue and getting it to sit in nicely. There we go. So I'll just put the capstan bracket back in, and actually looking at this drive belt here, that has been replaced at some point, so I'm going to leave that alone. So there we go. So there's that one, then there is this one. That's so finicky. Go on, in you go. Oh! Wish I did it from that side last time, that's why it was more difficult getting it back in. There we go. And actually move that up right so you can actually get that in properly. There we go. There we go, that's that one. Now we need to hook these back in. So we come down, those will go back in like so. This will go and loop back in like so. There we go. And we had one here as well, so that will come out there and in. then down, under, and on. There we go. There we go, that's this board actually back in place. So what I need to do is just bring this forward, and then we've got our little blue screws. Should be 4 of them. Just move these belts out the way, apart from the ones that we just need to bin. There we go, this belt's out of the way. And we have some little blue screws, which we just need to put back in. So there's one there. There's one over here. It's going to be one here. And one over here. Wrong screwdriver. Correct screwdriver. There we go. Smashing. Now, let's go top side. So here we are. On the top side. So very standard set of procedures here. Piece of paper, head drum, rotate the head, clean up the video heads and upper head drum, like so. Much interested to see if there's anything. Oh yeah, that is dirty. Yeah, there's quite a lot of head smush coming off that. So we'll just give that a bit more of a gentle once over. It's astonishing just how much oxide is coming off these heads. There's loads of the stuff. Quite astonished actually. God, it's unrelenting. Hope it's getting better. What I will do actually is put some of this on, leave it to soak for a bit. Let's work on the audio control and audio raise heads. Like so, there we go. work on this erase head over here. Work on the erase head roller. Goodness knows what tapes have been used in this machine. I don't know if it probably has been cleaned at some point in the past, but this has not been cleaned for a very long time. And being a rental, it's probably been used quite hard, as you would expect. Let's give the tape posts a bit of a clean up. Now that we've had the head cleaner on these heads for a little while, let's give them a sweep clean. Yeah, that's actually done. That's actually made quite a difference. Clean around the back as well. Basically clean all around. And the tips look okay, so I should be alright with that. This pinch roller looks a bit manky, so what we will do is we will remove and replace said pinch roller. But to do that, there is this little shield that needs to come out of the way to be able to do so. There is a single screw holding it in, and once out of the way, like so. Once out of the way, there you go. You have access to pinch roller. If I recall, I seem to recall these just pulled off. However, I may be wrong on that assumption. So let's grab a flat blade. There it is, little flat blade. And let's prise off this little cap. There we go. And yes, I was right to do so. There is a screw in there, which, now I come to think of it, is how all the other ones on these sort of decks are that I've replaced or have been. So good job I didn't pull too enthusiastically on that, otherwise that would have ended in a lot of tears and would have been quite a miserable experience. There we go, so that's that one off. So as you can see, that because I have the spares, that's not really worth bothering with, to be honest with you, so I'm going to pop that out and I'm going to find the replacement. I'm sure I have one. I did find it earlier. There we go. Little JVC pinch roller. There is your replacement. There you go. Have a look at it in comparison to the other one. You can see that the other one is nice and dull, not shiny like this one. So that is nice and fresh and ready to go into place. So that will just go down onto there like so. Now it's worth keeping these little bags because they actually have the specification of the pinch roller itself in the measurements. So I can put the old pinch roller back in here, and that'll be a reminder that I need to order another one and try and actually find a pinch roller that is that sort of size. Hopefully you should be able to find one based on those measurements. So now we have the little screw that came out with this, which is this little one here. It's got a little washer on it. That just drops back into there like so, and spin it backwards so that you don't cross thread it. Once it finds a thread, spin it down. Check that the pinch roller itself still works, which it does. And once you're done, give the capstan a clean, like so. There we go. And there will be the little cap that you removed from said pinch roller, which you can pop back on top and give you that fresh OEM look. Hopefully everything here is drying out quite nicely now, so let's give these heads another work around. It's still caked. It's never ending. We'll see how it is. You might actually find when you start playing, some of that will automatically shed off with the motion tape and cassette through the actual machine. Now we've got this little shield that goes over the audio heads, so that does need to go back into place, and that goes in like so, and that just tucks over, if I remember rightly. Let's have a look again. So that might actually be like that and like that. There you go. So you go on the side, slip the loom in, away you go. Then make sure that you actually put it in the right way, because the way I've just done it is completely the wrong way. So that needs to come around. Pretty certain I got that in the wrong way, have I? No, there's only one way it can go, because that's how it is. It can't go any other way. In on the side, over, and over there and down. Yeah, that's right. Yes, yeah, I think that is right, because it does cover the connector, partially obscures the pinch roller. So I think that is right, you know. It is something that can be adjusted if it is in the wrong position, though, as it's on a an open base. There we go. It does it. Annoying thing. Yeah, that's better. That's better. There we go. That's back in place. Next thing I'm tempted to replace is this idler. So to do that we need to move this out of the way. This will just quite simply undo and literally just move out of the way like that, and you can tuck that out of the way quite nicely. Next thing is this. I always have to move this out of the way, so to do this I tend to go in at the back like so, then around the front there, gently pull and pop, and then push from the back, and that should, after a short period of time, tease its way out like so. There we go, so that's out the way. Now we need to find where that has gone, because I have stupidly lost it, but we will soon find out when we move this out of the way. So we will need to use some new circlips to replace this. This is one of those weird plastic circlips which you can't reuse, unfortunately. They are sort of a one use only affair. And what we need to do now is unhook from here the spring. There we go. And then move out. Just work it up there and out. And we can move that out of the way at the same time. There we go, that's the old idler. Now we need to find the new idler. I only bought one because they are quite expensive at the moment. But well worth doing if you happen to be overhauling the machine. There we go, so onto there, down, and so down, around onto there. If I recall, it's going to go under there slightly. This is where it's always fun to get these back in place. There we go. Down and there, I think. Yeah, there we go. That comes, and then you've got the spring on there which will hook onto there, and that will spring this into place. So to open out this spring ever so slightly, because it's going to have to hook into this, so just hold it on ever so slightly. It's very, very fiddly, this particular bit of the job. Usually takes a couple of attempts to do it, so you don't want to stretch the spring. But you do want to get it on in place. As you can see there, that's actually gone, I think that's actually gone fairly well, to be honest, as that can now be engaged. And yeah, okay, so that's gone on okay. That now means we can put this back in. So this is our little plastic assembly. So we need to squeeze that back down, and then that will go into there like so. We just need to work this back in. It's actually getting a bit dark, so I'm just going to draw the curtains, pop on the light. There we go, that's better. Okay, so where were we? Yes, this bit, always the fun part. Another of the many fun things you have to do with these decks. So into there, and it just goes down into the bottom of the machine. That's typical, always does that. So let's move that. Take this board off and get it out. It's always very annoying when that happens, but can't be helped. Rather than try and shake it out, we will just undo this board and pop it out. What I'll also do is leave the board undone, just in case we drop it again. There we go, so hopefully it should be behind here. Can you see it? Yes, that really has gone. That's terribly annoying, because we do need to have that back in place. What can we do? So that would go into there like so. Basically that's there so it doesn't stretch the spring, so it doesn't stretch the spring too much, from what I can tell. So that's what would go into place, and it actually acts to keep the spring from being too slack. So I actually wonder if I can replace that with a screw. Let's see if we can. So let's hunt out a suitable box of screws. I'm sure I've got some. Yes, I have. Now, it's also quite possible I have one of those exact little pins from other decks that I've dismantled in the past. If I don't, I may have a suitable screw. Also a very small, probably a very small bolt would also work, do exactly the same job. So let's see if I have something suitable. This might be, actually. Let's try this one. Actually, it's a good job I've got that base off, because I've just remembered I might want to go in there and do a bit of no, that's too small. do some lubrication on a couple of spots that would need lubricating. So I need something with a slightly fatter thread, ideally a bit shorter as well. So fatter and shorter is what we are after. What do we have? I've got a lot fatter and not shorter. I also have, what's this? This is, that's probably going to be not correct, but you can see. Okay, we might be on to something with this one. Now, the next big question is, how are you going to screw it in? With great difficulty is the answer to that. So, what we will do is pop this into place. We will come in at some kind of angle, which isn't going to work. I might have to start it off by hand, so that will come into place. That I can just hold out the way to release the tension. Right. And this will go into there. And we need to start screwing it in. This is why it has that little plastic thing, because this is a pain to get in. Alright, let's park that idea for a second. Trying to find something more suitable. It's got the a more sort of cutting style thread, so something that will actually screw in, but also cut at the same time, and is of roughly the same diameter, because that did look like it wanted to work. So what about this one? No, it's way too fat. That's too small. That is the closest I'm probably going to get, so could try this one, I suppose. So let's pop that back into there. Pop that that way. Bring that up. So, no, I can immediately tell you that's going to be way too fat. It's always a pain when you don't have those sort of things in stock. A selection of spares. Right, let's get this up. What I'm more baffled by is where the original one has gone. really has actually disappeared completely. Don't think it's stuck in anything either. It's really most tiresome. Actually, I wonder if I could use this one right on the back here. Don't really want to, but no, I don't really want to. I'll be honest, I don't really want to. That's there for a reason, so I don't really want to remove something that is actually there for a good reason. I'll tell you what, whilst we're in here, I'll just lube up the loading motor. There we go. Perfect. There we go. Right, that's one thing out of the way. Let's just put this back together. There we go. So, where was I? Yeah, I'm trying to find something that will go into here. Actually, having it this way round is actually better. So, put that to there. We have, I mean, worst case, you could hot glue it into place. So that is always an option. So we can use a suitably sized screw and then, or even a plastic piece, and then just hot glue it into position. And then all I need to do when I come to renew it is just prise off said hot glue. So that is definitely an option. I'm going to try it with that screw that I had earlier. Let's just try that again. Because that did look like it wanted to sort of work. So where did I put it? Was it this one? Oh, that's so annoying. No, I don't think it was this little one actually. Sorry about that. No. Okay. I know when I've flogged it for long enough, I think I've actually flogged it for far longer than anyone else would have. What I'm going to do, pop that there, bring this up right to there, pop in the plastic tag, oh come on, these are so annoying, so terribly annoying. There we go, right, let's try that again, and in you go little fella. There we are, so I'll just pop that to there. Right, glue gun. I am not going to try forcing the issue any longer, so let's grab the glue gun, let's plug it in, and we will start gluing that up in a minute. It is running quite low on glue, so I think I've got another stick. There we go. There we are. There we go. Put that there. Right, that's ready. Or will be ready shortly. Lubrication points on the deck itself. We will do down there. We will do into here. We'll also do over here. There we go. That should nicely slop that around. Let's see if we can do anything. Oh, circlip. Before we do anything else, circlip. So now I have my little selection of circlips, which I just need to unearth. There they are. And what size? I reckon that's going to be a 2. No, it's not going to be 2. That might be more than 2 actually. 3. Yes, 3 should do it. So 3mm. So we'll grab out a 3mm. That should be fine. 3mm. On you go. 3mm is too big. Maybe it is 2. Okay. So 3 is too big. I have some 2s. Yep, quite a few 2s. Hopefully. Oh no! That's really terribly annoying. I've just spilt a load of them. But that isn't the end of the world. Go on, in you go. There you go, little fella. Oh, botheration. Right, let's pop that. Let's pop that one there. I'm sure I saw one go on the floor. There, yes, I did see one go on the floor. Yes, there we go. They are very, very fiddly and very, very annoying, to be honest with you. Really irksome things. So let's. There we go. So let's open a bit. In you go. And in you go. Right, there we are. Now back to the deck. Now we have our circlip. We almost have it in hand. We do now have it in hand, and I think I've now got it in position. Yep, that's definitely in position. Now this is going to be lots of fun, because it's almost like that is too small. Pliers. I need some pliers for this. So in the bomb site that is my work table desk area. Yep, there they are. I wonder where they were. So we're going to go onto, hang on, onto here, like so. We'll just leave that balance there for a second. We're going to come into it from here and gently tease it on. That is on, thankfully. That's the main thing, it is on. Right, now, this. Oh, don't tell me I've done it again. It's now down there. Right, glue gun, out of the way. Oh, I knew it was too premature. Putting the bottom circuit board back on. I really need to get some of those in my collection of things. So first it was the circlips, now I have the circlips and they are no longer a problem. But now it's those things, those little plastic plug things, pin things or whatever they are. Is it in here? Can I see it? No, I can't. Can I turn this up? Right. Yes, I can. Right. Okay. Right, okay. So we're back around this way again. That will go in, so pull this back so that's not under any tension. That'll go in like so. Hold that in place. Grab the glue gun and splodge a bit on. Doesn't need too much. And that is literally all it needs. So there we go. That's actually serving the same purpose as the original one, which is good. I don't know why this black glue does that. It's really irritating. Not terribly irritating, but of mild irritation. So let's have a look at this. So we've got this idler here, which is completely torn to pieces. There we go. So what I've just done off camera is remove the circlip on here, and I'm just looking at how it's arranged. So you have, yeah, you've got the little arm that moves. It's under a spring. So if I pop the spring out, it takes the tension off. So what I might need to do as well is actually move the fan assembly out of the way. So you want to go in there with this. There we go. And once that's out of the way, there we go. This should now come off. There we go. And we can have a look at this idler so you can see what the problem is. That's completely destroyed. So to sort that out, we're going to need to peel this off. So keep the spring to one side, because if that goes missing, that would be very annoying. And there we go. It literally just comes off. So actually, I just realised I better turn off the glue gun. There we go. There we are. So now I need to find an idler for that. I may have one in my box of bits. I may have a suitably sized idler that is small enough for this job. And do you know what? I think I do. That's suitably small, suitably sized, and it's a bit of a squeeze, but I reckon that will work, you know. So let's bring this over. And there you go. So what we need to do now is bring this back into play. So you can see there, that's what will happen when the idler completely disintegrates. Boing, boing. So what I need to do is we have a little spring here. A little spring goes back into place, I think, on here. Yeah, there it is. So it goes into the little hole there. The assembly comes in. Now I need to remember, I think it was this way, so the assembly comes on. Yeah, that's it. So it actually went, hang on, let's just put that there. So this actually went inside of here, like that. Then it went on to here. That came up around there, I think. That goes onto there, of which is a bit of a fiddle. Whoops, hang on. Okay, that goes onto there, like so. There you go, so that's now fully on. Then this will need to go into that hole up there. So what I need to do with that is just hold this. Pop this up, bring it round, push down. There you go. And that should be in. So there we go, that's better. So we'll put the circlet back onto there, which I'll do off camera, because it's a bit of a fiddly job. So I just need to find where I've put said circlip. There it is, it's over there. Oh, that's really annoying. Oh, it didn't actually go that far, but that's so annoying when that happens. The pinging of the circlip as it goes off into orbit and you never see it again until you're tidying up a few days later and you think, oh yeah, that was that circlip that decided to ping off the other day. There we go. There we are, said circlip back in place. And all we need now is the air brake. So here's the little air brake. Lovely little thing. Almost looks, you know, almost looks antique. This little thing here, tiny little air brake that turns like that. Driven by this little worm drive, and I've actually just noticed it's bent out of shape, which is odd. So I'll try and put that back into shape. Yeah, that's happier. So that'll go back onto the base here, other way round, because it needs to interface with the rubber idler. So the little idler come up like this. So we go, basically move the idler up like that, put the little air brake into there, and the idler will just sit on top of the air brake like that. There is, yeah, there you go, there's the point where it will lock into place. So what I'm hoping is, if I get this, let it go briefly, grab a small crosshead. What I'm hoping I'll be able to do is to go move that gently that way, come in with a little crosshead and go in like so. And then after a short time, you can screw that back into place. That's annoying, there isn't enough grip on the idler to stop it. That's a shame. So we actually need a thicker idler. You can see the basic concept of how it would work. It would rub against the idler would then rub against that little wheel there. The little air brake would spin, like so, and dampen the raising of the carriage. It's quite elegant, really. Anyway, back to this. That should now be dry, which it is. We can now put our video lamp back into place. So that come around and there. And we've got the screw to go back into there, which is one of these. I think it's this one here, actually. There we go. So that's that back in place. Let's put the cradle back in. So the cradle will go down and Like so. So for that was the, what was that? Was that blue or? Yeah, that was the blue ones again. So I'm going to jiggle it around a bit, but it will sit in. What's quite nice about these tape cradles is there isn't any alignment needed for them. They just fit. It looks like you can align them if you need to, but most of the time they will just fit in there, which is quite good. Oh, why do I always do that? There we go. Yeah, it's the long ones. The short ones are for the board underneath, so it's these longer of the blue ones. So I've got several, well, 8 of these blue ones, and it's the longer ones that you need for this particular job. Pardon me. So there we go. There we go. Now whip the machine onto its side, should be fine actually. And bring that forward. There we are. Let's just put these back in. Actually, do you know, it's easier just to put it like that. There we go. So put those on. That one there. Over here. And here. Right, now. Okay, next job is gluing that back on. So I am going to go and fetch the glue to do that particular job, and I will be back very shortly. Right, okay, we've got something suitable. Hoping the lid still comes off because it's been stuck for a little while. It's quite possible. Though it's glued itself shut. Which I think it probably has actually. Not to worry. So it's that one that's coming away. Just apply a little blob to each. Gently does it. Oh, there's a little bit too much. But there we go, that should do the job. Now we just need to leave that to dry, which according to this takes a relatively short amount of time actually. So I'll just tuck that out of the way. And what we can do is test that the deck itself works. So I've gone through quite a lot of effort and I haven't really actually tested if this is going to work or not. So what I will do is get this out of the way. And pop it back onto there. grab the plug, make sure that we are in a powered off position, which I think we are actually, and we'll plug it in. So bear with me whilst I stretch over, plug it in. There we go. So all switches are off, and we are turning on at the mains. There we go, and turning on here. There we go. Yeah, you can see that's what they always do. I need to get a bigger idler for that. So let's pop this cassette in, and let's go for, first off, let's try a rewind. Rewind. There. That's a good sign. So we're going to rewind the tape fully. May as well. And whilst we're waiting, I'll just pause the video. So tape is fully rewound. We've got a new pinch roller. We have new everything else. Let's see if it plays. So it's laced. It's struggling to lace. So it looks like the yes. So it's slipping on the load belt, I think. So that belt that I said, oh, I don't think we need to replace it. Yeah, we need to replace it. So let's try it again. So it's right at that last point where it tries to bring it right the way over the head. That's where it has the trouble. So what we will do is I'll unplug it and I will go ahead and replace that load belt. So bear with me. Once I've done that, we will be back shortly. Hello everybody, this is a Thorn 8940, closely related to the Ferguson 3V30. I've got a Syscon error, so if I put the tape in, that's fine. If I turn it on, it immediately tries to wind the tape back. Obviously it's trying quite hard at the moment. The idlers are new, so I'm not too sure why it's struggling, but anyway. But once it's disengaged, it then goes into a Syscon error mode, and there's nothing I can do. If I turn it off and then hit play, it will actually lace, and it will attempt playback, although there is a problem with the idler still by the looks of it. And then it will go into that wind back mechanism again. So it's actually trying to rewind. Then it will stop, and then it'll error. Anyone seen issues like this with this particular series of deck? I'm getting a bit confused, and I'm wondering if it's a problem with the actual IC that's on the Syscon board. Any suggestions? Welcome. Thank you. So I got the loading belt replaced, and we now have, albeit without sound because I don't have the correct DIN cable, but we do have video output, and it's running fairly well, to be honest with you. It's not doing too badly. There is, I think, a weird Syscon issue. So if I stop the cassette, it'll unlace as normal, and come back round as it should, hopefully. Then it will stop, and it's almost like it's trying to wind back. So it's sort of trying to lace it back in, wind it back, but it's not able to do so fully. So if I eject the cassette and put this down, if I take it out of, put it back into standby, turn it on again, that immediately starts to rotate. Now the way to stop it doing that, which isn't correct because there is a problem, is you turn it on and immediately press play. So then it will actually go and play the cassette, and then it works fine. So there is a problem somewhere. I've checked the various little reed switches which are underneath. They seem to be fine. I've given them a clean. They all seem to be okay. It only started doing it after I'd removed and then replaced the loading drive belt. So I'm not 100% certain why it would suddenly sort of decide to start playing up. So a little bit confused on that. So it could be a problem with Syscon, it could be a problem with something else entirely. So I'm going to investigate that, but to be honest, it is working, and I wonder if you can actually rewind it if you do a very quick stop straight into rewind. Let's see if it does it. So it does try to rewind. There is a problem with, I've replaced the idler. I've also replaced the actual idler on the spool itself, and it still seems to be having problems. So I'm wondering if it is literally a problem with spool rotation, but I can't see how it detects spool rotation. That's fast forward. It doesn't even want to try and fast forward, and that's when it goes into this fault condition. So I'm going to try a couple of other things and see if I can get it sorted, because I am wondering if it is just mechanical. Because if you play, it's fine. You can also do fast forward search, rewind search, desperately tries to have a go but doesn't have the grip, and then obviously that'll just unlace. Now it's trying to spool the tape cassette back as it would normally do, and then seems to time out, and that's when it goes into an error state. Yeah, anyway, certainly one to ponder. Thank you very much for watching. See you soon. I actually realised I did have the correct in cable, and as you can see, we have audio. So apart from that weird issue, you can actually see it there struggling on that spool slightly. Apart from that weird issue, it does seem to be working okay for the majority of functions. So I just need to do a bit more investigation, as I say, on why it's not working for just not working straight away. Also, that audio switch, there's actually no issues with it. So channel A, both channels, channel B. Yeah, so I don't think there's any problems with that. Anyway, if you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time. Thank you very much for watching.